All right, Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This is the Claim Ninja. I can't breathe in this thing, but I'm going to leave it on just for a little bit. So one of the things that I made a commitment to myself was to post informative videos about insurance policies, insurance claims, and so definitely understanding what you have, understanding what type of insurance policy you have is very, very important. So that's what we're doing. Now I'm going to compare and contrast two different types of policies. One is the State Farm homeowners policy, and the other one is the State Farm dwelling policy. So you get to see the difference in both. Okay, so we'll just get started. If you have any questions, always post them in the comments, but you'll be able to see what's going on with these insurance policies. All right, let me take this thing off. Okay. All right. So, this is State Farm. This is a scan, so it's not totally clear, but whenever you're looking at a declaration page, you want to look for things like policy effective date, policy expiration date, policy period. You know, there's a mortgage on the property, the homeowners' names, and things like that. Now, as you go on, as you'll see, it says location of residence premises, same as insured address. That's definitely really important because you want to make sure the properties have the right address. Okay, so we're going to keep going. What type of policy is this? It says fungus and mold coverage up to $10,000. That's pretty good. Now, you really want to get into this section called the Limits of Liability. I'll zoom in on that so you can see it. Section A is $258,000 for the home, right? And then dwelling extension, as you can see, up to $25,800. So you can see that. And traditionally, dwelling extension, it's 10% of coverage A. So you always want to make sure if you have a detached 3-car garage, or if you have a solar system that's a ground mount or on top of the detached garage, you want to make sure that this dollar amount, $25,800, is increased to cover that increased cost, right? All right, personal property is $193,000. That should be pretty good. I like this policy because it says loss of use, actual loss sustained. That's really what you want to see. You don't want to see a dollar amount because you think that it's enough, but you'll be very, very surprised that the dollar amount will not be enough. Actual loss sustained, this one doesn't have a time limit either. Most of the time, it's 12 months, but you know you can go to 24 months. Okay, let's take a look and see what else is going on. Deductible, all losses, $1,000. Again, this is a nicer feature. You want to have a fixed deductible. Now, the most important thing with deductible is that's your shared cost of the damages. So if you make a deductible $5,000, you're saying, I have $5,000 of emergency cash set aside so that if there's a loss, I'm going to contribute $5,000 to the damages. Now, you don't actually have to write a check for it at the time of settlement, but when you do the repairs, you should be prepared to contribute $5,000 to the claim. Now, we'll look at the another policy and show that all deductibles are different. But if you see a hurricane deductible or named storm deductible or wind hail deductible here on your own policy, it's not so good. So, and again, if you have questions on what your insurance policy looks like, or you don't understand what's going on, hey, Daniel checking in from Chicago. What's up, brother? Always ask questions. Now, for the most part, the State Farm homeowners policy for people who are living at the home, that's why it's called the HO. It's the FP7955. If you see that, for the most part, you'll be pretty good. They're pretty standard endorsements. All right, so now we're going to talk about this policy. You can see that it's different. What does it say? It says rental dwelling policy special form. So again, you're a landlord. You are not living at the property. And the main thing that you'll see that's different is you have the billing address, but the location. This is where the investment property is, right? Right here in this section. and then you have the lien holder. Sorry, I had to redact some of these things because I didn't want to put someone's private information out there. But, so that's what we have. Again, you have special form, but this has a lot of exclusions. And one of the exclusions, take a look at this, FE5797, a color mismatch exclusion. This is why I don't consider State Farm one of the better insurance companies, because they're putting things like this in. If you dig deeper, this FE5797, guess what? It's going to say we don't owe to match. And if it's only color, we're not going to pay for the difference. So this is not the best policy. But what we're looking at is, look at the deductible. For a $200,000 property, this deductible is a percentage deductible. I'll tell you that it's very, very common now for State Farm in renewals to be putting policyholders into percentage deductibles. Now, what's the difference on this one? As you can see, the structure, the home is insured for $200,000, which is fine. Dwelling extension, 10% of that. Personal property is extremely low, $9,975. And why would that be? The main reason is because the landlord doesn't have their stuff there, aside from maybe a refrigerator and appliances. Now, this is where it's a little bit different, because some insurance companies are actually considering appliances as part of the dwelling settlement. And some insurance companies consider appliances part of the personal property settlement. So you just have a little bit of dollar amount there. But then Section C for this policy is very important. It says actual loss sustained in loss of rents. Now, loss of rents is very important. You have to have documented rent shown. If the property is vacant, you're not going to get paid for loss of rent unless you have a lease for someone to move in February 1st, and let's say the water damage happened sometime in January, right? You have a lease, you have a deposit, someone actually showing intent to move in, then you can recover loss of rents. But the other thing is, as you get into the description of loss of rent, it's probably loss of rent net income. Very, very important. It's not your gross rent, because again, whether the damage happened or not, your mortgage on the property, your fixed expenses are going to stay the same. So it's always additional loss, right? So you want to look at that. And this loss of rent section doesn't cover you for what your tenants lose. It doesn't cover you for you putting your tenants in a temporary hotel just to make them happy. If you are a landlord of a property, listen, very, very important, require all of your renters to get their own renter's policy. Traditionally, renters' policies are in the $100 to $300 range per year. Require that they show you a copy of a renter's policy, because then they'll be covered for their own stuff, and you as a landlord will not be required to indemnify any of their losses. Really, really important. So, this is a difference. Landlord, if you are let's say you lived in a house as your primary dwelling, and then you bought another house and you moved into that house, and then your first house, you're keeping it now as a rental income property, you have to make sure you change your insurance policy, because it changes the risk. And some insurance companies could potentially deny the claim because you did not inform them that you are no longer living in this house as a primary dwelling, but now you are using it as a landlord situation. So again, really, really important. These are two different State Farm policies with totally different features, And the other thing is, these letters, A, B, C, these letters aren't always the same. So don't go by the letters. They're helpful, but some insurance companies have letter A and one big dollar amount, and they're saying everything is part of one big bucket. So there's all these different things. So if you have any questions about insurance, your insurance policy, if you don't understand your insurance policy, please just let me know, and we can always take a look at what you have. And if we're not happy with your coverage, we might be able to introduce you to a insurance broker in your area that could put you into much better coverage. Okay, thanks a lot. Remember, always click and subscribe, claimninja.tv or facebook.com/claimninja.